I think the biggest misconception that I get is that autistic people can't be sarcastic, which is grossly inaccurate if you're around me for more than 5 minutes. And also interpreting what I'm saying as rude or blunt when really I'm just missing out on putting the inflection in just because of the way I speak. I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just talking.
With some flats, I've had a kind of difficult senses of communication or democracy, particularly some sort of toxic situations where people, again, because they're not autistic, assume that if there's any kind of social unrest, it's either going to revolve around you or be due to you. They'd summon these like house or flat meetings where it's meant to be all very democratic and everyone gets a chance to speak and that sort of thing. And I found quite a few of those to turn into like an elephant in the room situation where they're all sort of not mentioning the autism directly because they know that that would be discriminating, but as essentially what they're doing, they're just implying it and assuming that I don't know that they're doing that.
Also that like autistic people are scary, so we're scary monsters that you shouldn't live with, or that we're actually not social at all. We just struggle with socialising for the most part.
Misunderstandings can come quite easily in many ways, whether it is through the way in which you put across a message, or that sometimes in my case I say something that might be seen as inappropriate. My sense of humour might provoke a reaction that might get someone quite cross. Sometimes I do have to try and be careful of and put a filter in against what I try to say, so that filter can sometimes tend to falter, and you can say something quite direct and forthright, but obviously that is not always going to be welcomed or appreciated by the person you're speaking to.
I've kind of worked out ways to let people know that like this is just a bad brain day, like we're not going to try anything because I just can't think like a normal person today. Also, how to delicately say things like, your room stinks, you stink, please take a shower, in a way that doesn't come across as, I hate you, please have a shower right now, but, oh, maybe we need to air out the room, and maybe there's a more delicate way to say this so that you're not offended because my nose is offended, but like, we can do this in a better way.
But I think unless you really take the time to be clear on which wavelengths you're at, then you end up with these really sort of toxic, like subconscious things bubbling up. And I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes I've made of not wanting to upset people and not being honest about those things. And it just kind of keeps everything harmonious, because I think disharmony is the worst thing you can have in a place which again is meant to be sort of like a sanctuary and a place where you can unwind or focus or whatever you want to do in the space that's your own.